Welcome everybody to the start of the symposium, the evening part, and Jeanne d'Arc. And I'm very happy that Julia Hinderink organized it all for us. And it will be the whole day tomorrow. And it is something that we think we wanted to add to the show of Frau Architekt, the part of the contemporary architectural practice of women architects. And as we see on the reaction, especially on Facebook, we see that the topic of women in architectural firms is something that is still not that easy, and there are a lot of things that do not contribute to a very relaxed life between men and women in the architectural practice. And we will talk about that in various fields tomorrow, and today is the start, and I'm happy that you are here, the architects that did sponsor this whole endeavor, and thank you very much. Good you're here. And to get into the content part, Julia, please come here. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Julia Hinderink, and also a very warm welcome from my side. Thank you very much for having me here, for giving me that chance a second time this year to make a symposium in your house. Why did we choose the title Jeanne d'Arc? The historical figure Jeanne d'Arc was illiterate, but she had very powerful communicational skills to even impress the future King of France. She burned for an idea and fought together with men for a cause. When Zaha Hadid died in 2015, I thought, who would possibly be the next female star architect? Why are there not as many as male star architects? And would it be the end of star architecture altogether? How can I organize a symposium about female architecture positions without a feminist debate and the question of equality and access to power? I would like to quote Anna Winston, who published an article about the women in the architecture world in JEANNE last week. We are not asking to be the female equivalent of anything. We are just asking to be architects, designers, journalists, critics, consultants, directors, partners, professionals, without having to be wary or to make ourselves small, without being overlooked or having to be a bitch or difficult to be heard. Let us do our job without all the gender-based power games. Pay us fairly for it, and I promise you that the entire industry will benefit. Jeanne d'Arc is offering a female view on topics that will become more and more important for that industry. Instead of choosing big names, I decided to look for specific topics and experts in these areas that I think will be relevant for evolving our profession and keep its impact on the future. Tomorrow, we will look at material, or resources if you like, participation and education in architecture, and the selection of what you want to make visible and talk about in architecture, thus exhibition and prizes or awards. The invited speakers show two different approaches and views per subjects. We will introduce the topics as well as the speakers tomorrow in more detail. Tonight, the keynote will be held by Eva Keil, who I will introduce in a minute. During my research for Jeanne d'Arc, I came across an article about her work in Vienna in 1991, when Keil and a group of city planners organized a photography exhibit titled "Who Owns Public Space? Women's Everyday Life in the City." It depicted the daily routines of a diverse group of women as they went about their lives in the Austrian capital. Each woman tracked a different route through the city. But the image made clear that safety and ease of movement were a priority for all of them. Soon after, the city greenlit a series of mainstreaming pilot projects. One of the first to be carried out was an apartment complex designed for and by women in the city's 21st district. In 1993, the city held a design competition for the project, which was given the name Frauenwerkstatt, or Woman Work City. In 1999, officials in Vienna, Austria, asked the residents of the city's 9th district how often and why they used public transportation. Most of the men filled out the questionnaire in less than 5 minutes. But the women couldn't stop writing. So there were different mobility patterns. The men chose public transport to go from work to home and backwards and forward, while the women at that time in that district, they chose circular ways, bringing the kids to the kindergarten, then going to work, then doing the shopping, taking the kids back home, etc., etc. Nowadays, the whole discussion is widened up to parent-specific planning. It's as these stereotypes are slowly beginning to diminish. But it becomes an important issue for all people, men and women, who have to work, take care of their kids or parents, and move around the city safely and quickly. It's through the eye of a specific group recognizing the needs of all inhabitants and using the variety of skills that will change our urban environment for the better. Tonight, I would like to introduce Eva Keil, who has studied urban and regional planning at the Technical University of Vienna. She works for the city of Vienna since 1986. She was the first head of the Women's Office and built up and run the coordination office for planning and construction geared to the requirements of daily life and the specific need of women till 2009. Since 2010, she works as the gender expert in the Competence Center Overall Planning, Smart City Strategy, Participation, Gender Planning in the Executive Group for Construction and Technology. She coordinated about 60 pilot projects in the fields of housing, mobility, public space, urban development, and social infrastructure, and is one of the leading administrative experts for gender planning in Europe. Please welcome Eva Keil.